Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're struggling with the pain of a woman drifting away, stay with me because what I'm about to say will challenge everything you thought you knew about love, control, and desire. And before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It'll help you grasp truths most men will never hear. I want you to feel this. Every time you chase her, every argument, every text you send, every moment you plead for her attention, you are not making her love you more. You are pushing her further away. Deep down, she doesn't want to feel pressured. She doesn't want to feel trapped. The more you try to convince her to stay, the more you remind her that she's choosing between freedom and obligation. And freedom always wins if you leave fear in its path. Here's the first truth most men never see. Women don't commit to someone who tries to hold them hostage, emotionally, mentally, or socially. Your attempts to secure her presence with arguments, explanations, or displays of "I care more than anyone else" actually create invisible walls between you and her. It's not weakness, it's subtle power she's responding to. You see, attraction isn't about force, it's about comfort, safety, and the unconscious pull of a man who can hold himself steady even when she's unsure. When she feels suffocated, what she craves is not your validation, it's your peace. Imagine a river. You can try to push it upstream, but it will resist and even turn destructive. Or you can step back, give it space, and watch it find its natural course, often back to you. Your energy, your calm, your absence of desperation. These are what make you magnetic. They're what make her consider returning on her own terms, not yours. Right now, I want you to ask yourself, am I chasing her because I love her, or because I'm afraid of losing control? That fear shows in your texts, your calls, your need to explain yourself. Women sense it instantly, and once they do, they retreat. So, the first step is recognizing that your value isn't in convincing her. It's in holding yourself in a place of calm, of grounded power, while she experiences the life she needs to choose to come back. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. It's the subtle art of creating space so desire can grow naturally, without pressure. And if you master this, you'll stop the endless cycle of chasing and begging, and you'll start creating a dynamic where she chooses you freely, again and again. Let's be brutally honest. Most men completely misunderstand what makes a woman return after pulling away. They think it's about gestures, gifts, apologies, or proving they're better than everyone else. That's superficial. What really draws her back is the feeling of peace, stability, and respect for her autonomy that only comes from a man who isn't panicking, begging, or clinging. Think about her perspective for a moment. When she steps back, it's not because she stopped caring. It's because she needs space to process her emotions, her fears, and her doubts. If you bombard her with messages or try to explain why she shouldn't leave, you're turning that space into a pressure cooker. You're taking the one thing she desperately needs, mental clarity, and replacing it with tension, guilt, and confusion. And here's the hard truth. The more you try to convince her, the less likely she is to return. Your job isn't to fix her feelings, it's to fix your own. That means mastering the art of emotional detachment without emotional coldness. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop overreacting. You stop letting uncertainty control your behavior. You show her, through your actions, or more often your lack of frantic actions, that your world doesn't collapse when she pulls away. That stability, that grounded energy, is magnetic. It's the quiet signal that she can return without judgment or drama. And the paradox is that the less you chase, the more likely she is to come back voluntarily. Here's something most men will never admit. When a woman leaves, she's testing whether you're a source of calm or chaos. If you respond with fear, desperation, or manipulation, you fail that test every single time. But if you respond with measured composure, self-respect, and patience, you pass, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. She may explore other options, she may pull further away temporarily, but your steadiness plants a seed she cannot ignore. So stop thinking in terms of convincing her. Stop trying to negotiate love like it's a contract. Real power lies in providing the emotional environment where she feels safe enough to make her own decision, to come back on her own, without coercion. And here's a secret that will stay with you forever. A woman returning to you freely because she chooses to is infinitely more loyal, more invested, and more emotionally present than one you've pressured into staying. Your challenge is to let go of control, to release fear, to cultivate an inner calm that radiates confidence. That's what pulls her back. That's what makes her want to return. And it's the one thing no amount of chasing, pleading, or convincing can ever replicate. Here's the part most men never understand. Absence isn't just about not contacting her. It's about embodying a life that feels magnetic without her needing to chase it. Women are drawn to men who live with purpose, who carry themselves with calm confidence, who don't let her indecision dictate their emotional state. When you vanish from the frantic orbit of her uncertainty, something remarkable happens. She starts noticing the space you've created. She begins to feel the gravity of your presence in ways she never did when you were constantly trying to convince her to stay. Think of it like this. Attraction is psychological. She doesn't consciously weigh every word, every gesture. She senses energy. She feels tension or ease. If you're constantly in pursuit, she feels suffocated, pressured, cornered. That tension triggers instinctual withdrawal. But when you step back, when you cultivate peace, you shift the dynamic completely. She senses freedom. She senses safety. And paradoxically, freedom makes her want to come closer, not because she owes you anything, but because desire thrives in space, not captivity. Your inner game becomes the ultimate weapon. The moment you stop trying to manipulate outcomes and focus on your emotional equilibrium, you step into a zone most men never reach. You become untouchable, not in arrogance, but in serenity. You develop a magnetic quality that cannot be faked, cannot be forced, and cannot be understood by men who cling and chase. Women feel this unconsciously. They may try to resist it, but they cannot ignore it. Here's the raw truth. She is not yours to hold. And the moment you accept that, the moment you stop negotiating your worth for her attention, something shifts. She senses that you have boundaries, that you respect yourself, and that you are not at the mercy of her whims. That respect is more compelling than any apology, any gift, any elaborate demonstration of love, because it communicates one thing clearly. You are whole, independent, and grounded, and that above all is what she wants to return to. Now, this isn't about playing games. It's about aligning with reality, chasing her, convincing her, trying to control her decisions. Those are illusions of power. True power comes from restraint, composure, and self-mastery. She doesn't need to be persuaded to come back. She needs to feel the calm certainty of a man who doesn't crumble, and that certainty stirs something deep inside her, a pull she cannot resist. Once you master this, you stop being a man who begs. You become a man she chooses over and over because her desire meets your stability. And desire, not obligation, is the only thing that lasts. Let me be blunt. Most men fail at this because they don't understand patience. They confuse waiting with weakness, and they confuse detachment with disinterest. But here's the truth that changes everything. Patience is not passive. Patience is active mastery of your emotions. It's showing her, without words, that your sense of worth does not depend on her immediate presence or approval. That alone shifts the dynamic from desperation to intrigue, from fear to fascination. When you stop trying to control her feelings, you create an invisible magnet. She begins to feel a void, not the painful emptiness you imagine, but a psychological space where curiosity and desire can grow. She starts to notice your calm, your focus, your unshakable sense of self. And the irony is that the less you try to fill that space with explanations, texts, or pleas, the more she fills it herself, with longing, reflection, and sometimes regret. Here's a critical distinction most men overlook. There's a difference between indifference and composure. Indifference communicates that you don't care. Composure communicates that you care deeply, but without losing yourself. Women respond to composure because it demonstrates that your emotions are anchored in self-respect, not in her decisions. It signals security, confidence, and a quiet authority that subconsciously draws her back. You have to understand this. The act of giving her peace to return is not passive. It is deliberate. It requires discipline to resist the urge to react, to prove yourself, or to negotiate love. It requires emotional fortitude to live your life fully while she sorts out her own feelings. That fortitude is magnetic. It's almost unfairly attractive. Women may not consciously analyze it, but they feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respond or don't respond to uncertainty. Most importantly, this method flips the power dynamic. When you stop trying to convince her, you reclaim your power. You stop being a man at her mercy and become a man whose calm, grounded energy she naturally wants to return to. And here's the deeper psychological reality. Women have an instinctive pull toward what they cannot control but deeply desire. By giving her space, by giving her peace, you become that irresistible force. Remember, chasing her is fear disguised as love. Composure is strength disguised as patience. And strength, real, silent, unwavering strength, is what makes her come back. Not your words, not your pleas, not your explanations. She comes back to a man who knows his worth, respects her freedom, and lives with a calm that nothing can shake. Now, let's talk about the subtle signals that make her feel safe enough to return. Most men miss these entirely because they focus on words instead of presence. Women respond to energy, consistency, and emotional clarity far more than they do to speeches, gifts, or justifications. When you stop chasing her, stop trying to convince her, and instead stabilize your own life, you communicate something far more powerful. You are grounded, unshakable, and complete. That's magnetic in a way no text or gesture ever could be. Think about what she experiences when she's pulled away. She feels uncertainty, tension, and the pressure of choices. Every frantic text from you is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It intensifies her stress, her doubts, her desire to flee. But your calm, controlled presence acts like a soothing balm. She begins to associate the idea of coming back with safety, with relief, with a rare kind of peace she can't find anywhere else. That is how desire is rekindled. That is how she starts leaning toward you again. Here's the psychological twist most men never realize. Women are wired to test attachment through space. They step away, not to punish, but to observe. They want to see if you'll crumble or if you'll maintain your inner world intact. They want to know whether your love for yourself and your life surpasses the fear of losing them. If you crumble, if you chase, you fail the test. If you hold your composure, respect boundaries, and focus on your own growth, you pass, and you become irresistible. You need to internalize this. The act of giving her peace is not passive. It is strategic, powerful, and deeply attractive. It signals that you are a man who values himself above temporary validation, who lives on his own terms, and whose emotional equilibrium cannot be dictated by someone else's indecision. And here's the key. When she returns, it's not out of obligation, guilt, or manipulation. It's because desire, curiosity, and genuine attraction have grown naturally in the space you created. This is why the men who constantly chase, explain, or justify themselves never regain what they lost. And the men who step back, cultivate inner strength, and give her room to breathe suddenly become the only option she considers seriously. Peace, not pressure. Calm, not chaos. Freedom, not fear. That is the dynamic that ensures she doesn't just return once, but comes back again and again, drawn by the steady force of a man who knows his value and respects hers. Here's the ultimate truth most men never fully grasp. Love cannot be forced, and desire cannot be negotiated. The more you try to convince her to stay, the more you remind her that her choice is the center of your universe, and that is the exact opposite of attraction. Women instinctively sense when a man is anchored in his own life versus when he's dangling from their attention. And nothing kills desire faster than desperation disguised as love. When you give her peace to return, you are doing something profoundly rare. You are offering a woman the space to make her choice freely, without pressure, without fear, without guilt. And that space is magnetic. It communicates that your life is full, your sense of self is strong, and your emotions are under your control. You become a man who is not only confident but untouchable in a way that provokes curiosity and longing. She may try to resist, she may push away again, but but she cannot ignore the pull of a man who embodies calm authority and self-possession. Let's break down why this works at a deeper psychological level. Women are wired to respond to stability, safety, and the demonstration of high-value presence. When you chase, argue, or plead, you display emotional volatility and insecurity. When you step back, live fully, and focus on your own purpose, you display mastery and self-respect. That is inherently attractive. That is what makes her question whether leaving was truly what she wanted. That is what makes her feel the need to return, not because you begged, but because the man she desires exists independently of her decisions. The paradox is beautiful. You stop trying to control her, and suddenly you become the one she cannot control. You stop chasing, and she starts gravitating toward you. You stop explaining, and she starts longing. You stop fearing loss, and she starts realizing she never wanted to leave the kind of man who remains calm, grounded, and complete no matter the circumstances. That is the power of giving her peace, to return willingly, freely, and with genuine desire. So here's the final lesson. Your worth is not defined by her attention. Your power is not measured by her presence. You are magnetic when you cultivate your inner strength, hold your calm, and allow space for her to choose freely. Desire grows in freedom, not confinement. Attraction thrives in confidence, not desperation. And love, real, deep, lasting love, returns to the man who gives it space, respect, and the unshakable force of his own peace. Remember this always. You don't convince her to stay. You give her peace, and that peace is what draws her back, time and time again.